sad, a
Yeah, you
hatch
open it-
opens on baby's arm, revealing
What
a
I
little-
said. That's what I freaking said. Get me on game theory. Get me on game theory. Hey, what's sizzling YouTube? It's me, Banshee Screams, reacting to another Five Nights at Freddy's theory video. Today we are reacting to a video titled "The Big Twist of Sister Location" by the one, the only, the lovely John Fuhnaff'd. I am pretty excited to get into this video, so let's go ahead and just start. Make sure you subscribe to John Fuhnaff'd. The original video will be in the link in the description below. Subscribe to John, yeah! 3, 2, 1, go! 4 years
What?
ago.
Oh
Security breach.
my god.
2 years ago.
They are plush baby. What's she doing here?
Ruin was 2 years ago? 2023, so yeah, okay. Help 1 and 2. Help 1 and 2 came out 2023 as well, that's crazy.
I'm gonna cry. In the last 4 years worth of Fnaf games, there's been some subtle or even blatant callback to sister location.
Yeah,
this
the
is
plush
one of the
babies,
biggest mysteries of modern Fnaf
Help 1 and
because
2.
it feels like Scott and Steelwool are desperately trying to tell us something. And it wasn't until now that I think I've figured it out. This year, sister location turned 9 years old. And
Gosh,
in those
9
we
years
figured out
old, dude. That's crazy. As of recording this, it's 2026, so they're turning 10 years this year. That's insane.
a lot of stuff surrounding the game, but nothing compares to what I'm going to talk about today. There's details and clues that have been right in front of our faces that were completely overlooked for years until now. Let's get started. One thing that's always been weird to me about Sister Location is how sci-fi Scott suddenly took the series.
Yeah,
Maybe
I don't
you'll
really
relate
like
to
that about
this, but
Sister
I've always
Location.
found it
Too
weird how
sci-fi.
Afton was able to build a giant underground bunker directly beneath his house. How much did this cost? Where did he get the money to build this? And even if he did have the money, logistically, how would someone build something like this?
Yeah,
Well,
how would
the
they build
answer
it
is he
underground?
didn't build it. It's been widely believed for a while now that William Afton was the businessman of Fazbear Entertainment.
So, for the bunker, ever since Secret of the Mimic, Edwin had all that stuff underneath his house. Sorry, Secret of the Mid. Yeah, it's mid. I don't care. Flame me on TikTok, flame me on Twitter. I don't care. Secret of the Mimic is mid. Anyway, Edwin has that giant, like, area underneath his house and under the manor, just full of pipes, everything. And once he died, Afton went and took it over. So I'm guessing he just took that over and turned it into the sister location bunker. I'm guessing that's what he's about to say.
Who handled all of the money, while his partner Henry was the creative genius who designed and built the animatronics. This was backed up by the newest game, Secret of the Mimic, where we learned that while Henry was working with Edwin on the animatronics,
I got the change order from Hen last night. It would be so much easier to keep using the spring locks.
Afton was the one working on the business side of things.
Yeah.
Throughout the game, we see Afton attempt to steal all of Edwin's employees and bankrupt his entire company. Afton eventually gets what he wants.
So I'm pausing a lot. I'm pulling a game theory. I'm sorry. Our GT Live. So there's a log in there where one employee is called Ralph, and in the week before the official direct prequel that's canon and in the continuity of the game's timeline to FNAF 1, the phone guy's name is officially stated to be Ralph. I don't know why I'm explaining that. I guess because if people on TikTok see this, they'll be like, anyway, Ralph is a name in one of the logs in Secret of the Mimic, and he's also the name of the phone guy. There's a theory that Ralph worked at the Costume Manor, but he got into a Springlock incident, so then Fazbear picked him, and he left the manor to go work at Fazbear's, and that's how he knows about Springlock stuff. I don't know if that's true, but that makes a whole lot of sense. Anyway, I'm shutting up. Let's watch.
And owns all of Edwin's, quote, software development and the entire MCM catalog. But in this message, we learn that Afton doesn't just take Edwin's company, he takes all of Edwin's land. Quote, although we now technically own the land, we would never touch the house your parents built. This is important because this house that Edwin's parents built happens to have a bedroom
looks
that
just
looks
like the
very
FNAF 4
similar
house.
to the FNAF 4 bedroom and a giant underground bunker
See
directly
what I
beneath it.
say?
The
What did
house
I
also
say?
sits on a hill, just like the Afton house. When Afton took over Edwin's land, he got access to a house on a hill with a built-in underground bunker directly beneath it. He even stole the toys right out of Edwin's son's room and gave them to his kids. Everything was stolen from Edwin. Need more proof? In Secret of the Mimic, when we first enter Edwin's underground bunker and get on the little ride, you can hear a song start playing in the background. This song is called Breathing Corridors and was created by Leon Riskin, Scott's go-to composer for all...
Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to pause a lot, but this dude has been teasing stuff for Sister Location. Teasing something about a game or something called Abyss. There's another theory that after Ruin, we are going to go back to Sister Location. And we're going to explore like the aftermaths of after Ruin there. And we're going to see the bunker and stuff. And that's why he's teasing Sister Location. That would be so freaking dope. Oh well. Yeah, I'm going to shut up.
All of the Fnaf soundtracks. The song Breathing Corridors is actually about 3 minutes long, but since this little ride only lasts about a minute, we never actually get to hear the whole song in-game. So one day, while listening to the entire soundtrack, I noticed that Breathing Corridors is literally just a slowed down version of Venta Black from Sister Location.
Wait, what? No, that's so cool. I don't like Secret of the Mimic. The callbacks are sick. They're so sick. I never knew this. This is so cool. Yeah, I feel like this has to hint at Afton taking over the bunker and it becoming the Sister Location bunker. You have the same music. Unless it's just a callback and they're being like, why? Why else would they reference that?
The songs are in the same exact key, have the same sound, and have that same 4-note motif. This was just the cherry on top of an already solid theory, but after realizing that Afton very likely stole Edwin's underground bunker and used it to create Sister Location, a lot more connections started to appear. In Secret of the Mimic, we meet Dispatch, who works for Fazbear Entertainment.
Hey buddy, this is Dispatch with Fazbear Entertainment. How are you feeling?
Dispatch is the one guiding us throughout the game, but shortly after we enter MCM,
But
it's
it's the
revealed
Mimic.
that M1 from inside of Mixes takes over and starts mimicking Dispatch's
Fiona.
voice.
Awesome. Glad to see you made it here without any complications whatsoever.
This is important because the Mixes machine containing M1 is located underground in Edwin's
Okay,
bunker.
so if Dispatch was trying to reach Arnold all night at the very beginning of the game, was that just a mimic the entire time? Because they are literally saying, hey, go retrieve the schematic, go retrieve stuff there. If at the end of the game they're saying they're trying to reach him all night, that means they've never contacted Arnold. So it was just the mimic the entire time. So what the heck was that then if it was the mimic? What was that? Like, the switch.
The same bunker that Afton would allegedly use to create Sister Location. This means that Afton seemingly would have access to an advanced AI that has the capability of sounding just like Dispatch.
Glad to see you made it here without any complications
Sister
whatsoever.
Location unit.
Welcome to the first
Yeah.
day of your exciting new career. I will be your personal guide to help you get started.
Then Henry
If
had
you
to
don't
get
know
it.
already, Dispatch from Secret of the Mimic
FNAF
and
6.
Hand Unit from Sister Location actually share the same voice actor,
Andy Field, yeah.
Field. While this isn't the first time a voice actor has played multiple roles in this franchise, this
Heather plays... I didn't know she played Vanessa. Didn't she retire? What? Okay.
specific instance feels more intentional. I think it makes sense that when Afton took over Edwin's underground bunker, he also acquired F10N4, which is an AI that contained the voice of Dispatch. This could have been how Afton got the voice for Hand Unit, but I don't think that's
So
all
is he
got.
saying
I think Afton also
Fiona's
got his
down there in
hands
the
on
bunker?
Mimic program. Let me explain. In Security Breach, it's been basically confirmed that all of the Glamrock animatronics are using the Mimic program.
Yeah.
This is heavily talked about in the Tales from
Yeah,
the PC
definitely in the
Plex
books.
But there's also proof for this in Security Breach itself. There is a whole section of the game where you enter an endoskeleton daycare.
Oh, yeah,
in
and
this
you're
area,
like,
there are certain
help 1 and 2,
behaviors
you're
depicted
programming
on the
them.
doors.
You're making
Good
them
behavior
learn.
gets a check mark, while bad behavior gets an X. This is where we're training the
That room right
endoskeletons
there.
how to behave properly by showing them which behavior to mimic and which to not. It's an endo daycare because these endos are literally starting from scratch as if they're children and are being raised to be whatever character Fazbear wants them to be. This was confirmed in Help Wanted 2, where we got a whole minigame in the endo daycare. In this minigame, we are once again teaching a Glamrock endoskeleton the correct behavior to mimic. But at the beginning of
True.
this minigame, we hear a line that stuck out to me for a while now.
Welcome to the Playpen. Here, young animatronic endoskeletons learn how to associate with guests. Motivation chips encourage our
Yeah, and they gotta
youth
learn,
to
they gotta
one day
mimic
develop
you.
a personality and become the next Freddy, Chica, or TBD Pizzaplex star.
Motivation chips encourage our youth to one day develop a personality.
Mimic chip.
What? When in any of the modern FNAF games have we ever heard of motivation chips? The game literally flat out tells us that these motivation chips are how we're able to teach the animatronics to develop a personality. That sounds exactly like what the Mimic program is supposed to be doing. To me, this one line is telling us that the Mimic program is put into the Glamrock animatronics through a chip. And it's this chip that
So
gives
is John about to say that the chip that's used for the mimics or in the endoskeleton is also in the fun times? Is he going to say that that chip or something that you took from Baby and Sister Location, that was one of those chips? Okay, also one more thing. This is kind of off topic, but it's not. In Sister Location, Baby says put that chip in your handheld device. I hear a lot of people say put that in hand unit, but isn't hand unit just in the elevator? If she's saying put it in the handheld device, doesn't that just mean put it in your phone? Doesn't he just get the chip, probably like a micro SD card or something? Just slide it right into his phone. Like he takes off the back, take it off, put it in there. So then she can talk to him. And he's probably like this, going, looking around, like trying to escape entered and go to the private room. It's not like he's holding hand unit the entire time. That's what I always wondered. And if that's a thing, micro SD cards and phones weren't invented until like 2004. That means Sister Location would have to happen at least at 2004 or later, not in the 90s or anything like that. Hey, that's just a theory. That's just my little, that's my thinking. That's mine.
the ability to be trained and taught to develop certain personalities to then become the next
Freddy, Chica, or TBD Pizzaplex star.
After discovering this, I then looked back to see if these chips have been mentioned anywhere else. After we learned from Scott that Security Breach's story was all over the place, I thought there would be no way they planned this chip thing from the beginning. Until I found this. In Security Breach, you can find a duffel bag
Found
message
what?
titled Chica Report, where it says, quote, Chica's personality chip has always been a bit quirky, but the new pizza-flavored Monty Mystery Mix slushy syrup has adverse effects on her programming. She has attacked patrons, employees, and staff for it. It is recommended that Monty Mystery Mix should be recalled before
It's
we're
the mimic. The
inundated
mimic's
with lawsuits.
messing
In
with the
this
chip.
message, they straight up just call it a personality chip. Whether it's officially called a personality chip or a motivation chip
yeah.
doesn't really matter. The important thing is that all the way back in Security Breach, there was mention of a singular chip that helps give each animatronic their personality. But that's not all. In the modern FNAF games, the Mimic has repeatedly taken the form of Helpy. In Security Breach Ruin,
Yeah.
the Mimic speaks to Cassie through
He's got those
Helpy
veins on his eyes and
successfully
stuff.
gets her to set it free by the end of the game. In Help Wanted
And
2,
in Help Wanted
you
2,
can
he's
see
on the
Helpy
screen.
on the screen in the main hub area. And throughout the game, he's given
That right there, that drawing of Helpy looks more like Helper from Secret of the Mimic. Like, you could put those side by side and they look awfully so similar. And the promotional art for Secret of the Mimic, Helper was supposed to look exactly like Helpy.
giving us hints and encouraging us to progress. The thing is, progressing and beating the game normally gives
Kills
you
you.
the bad ending, where
Yeah.
Glitch Trap, aka the Mimic Virus,
It gets you,
wins.
and
Helpy
you
was
turn into
purposely guiding us in the wrong
Mascot.
direction, just like in Ruin. If you get the bad ending and come back to the main hub, Helpy is now sitting on a beach on
Yeah, he's
vacation
chilling.
because his job is done. The Mimic Virus won. As you probably know, you can get the good ending by going through Princess Quest and killing Glitch Trap once and for all.
And
But if
he's
you try
gone.
going back to the main hub after Glitch Trap is dead, Helpy isn't on vacation this time. He isn't even there anymore. That's because Helpy was
never
once
noticed
again
that.
tied to the Mimic Virus. Now that Glitch Trap was gone, so was Helpy. So why does this matter? Well, this all actually ties into the first aid minigame, where we get to see Helpy in person. In a game where they solidify that the Mimic program represents itself as Helpy,
Helpy,
while
yeah.
also reintroducing us to the idea of motivation or personality chips that seemingly house
And in that Helpy game, you literally have to like take a chip out of his head and you gotta replace it. That's the mimic chip. That's the personality chip.
Mimic program. I find it funny that if you open up Helpy's head in the first aid minigame,
Exactly.
you can find a chip lodged
What
in
I
his
just
brain.
said,
The
what I
fact
just
that the
said.
chip is lodged in Helpy's brain makes me almost certain that this is our first look at the personality chip we've
Exactly.
been hearing about for nearly 4 years now. But if you look closely at the chip, you might notice that we've actually seen this chip before.
The one from Sister
On
Location.
night 5 of Sister Location, after punching the correct code into the keypad, a
Yeah, you
hatch
open it-
opens on Baby's arm, revealing
What
a
I
little
said. That's what I freaking said. Ah, I'm so smart. Oh, I'm a genius. I know Fnaf. Get me on game theory. Get me on game theory. I'm gonna play the video.
green chip. This chip looks exactly like the chip we find
That's identical. That's no mistake. That is no mistake. That is 110% intentional by Scott Cawthon.
in Helpy's head. The same chip containing the Mimic program that might be being used in the Glamrocks can also be found.
So they're in the
Baby.
fun times. The fun times are
Granted,
mimics.
The chip we find in Helpy's head is a lot bigger than the one we find in Sister Location. But to me, it is painfully obvious that they
See, it's a lot
designed
bigger.
these
Micro SD card, put it in your phone. That's what it is.
chips to look similar. I just think that the one in Helpy's head is a newer version of the chip that's being mass-produced for the Glamrocks. These two chips might be the same chip, but just made decades apart from each other.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we established earlier, Afton is in charge of the business side of things at Fazbear Entertainment.
He's also a
Afton
freak.
is, at least we think, not a genius engineer like Henry. So if this is actually true, and Afton really did
Didn't
steal
he
the
make
Mimic
Baby?
program from Edwin, that would explain how he was able to create such advanced animatronics. So much so that even the board of Fazbear Entertainment was shocked at what Afton was able to achieve.
There's no doubting what you've achieved on a technical level. These are clearly state-of-the-art.
This might also explain why the Funtime
Well,
animatronics
they're
are
also-
able to mimic voices, which
They're also saying that because Baby has like a giant claw in her that goes and captures people, and the Fun Times have like parental mimic. It's mimicking the parents, proximity sensor. So like Bonbon's looking around, so they can capture kids. They're mimicking it. I'm gonna watch the dang video.
we literally see happen in Sister Location.
Exactly.
You must let us inside the room.
You have to let me inside the room.
Either way, I think the modern FNAF games are clearly trying to tell us that the Mimic program is being stored in some kind of chip. So I was curious if in Secret of the Mimic I could find any proof of this being the case. We
Ooh,
learn in the
did
Tales
he?
books that Edwin created the Mimic program by literally just coding it. We even learn what coding language he used, a combination of Pascal and C. He then uploaded this code to the Mimic's computer. Quote, once Edwin had constructed the robot, he had built the computer for it. This he did by stealing hardware from some of his abandoned projects. So no mention of a singular Mimic chip in the books, but
Just
what we
multiple
learned from
stuff.
Secret of the Mimic is that what happens in the books is different from what
Yeah,
happens
it's
in
so
the
vastly
games. In
different.
the games, the Mimic program isn't necessarily tied to the Mimic endoskeleton. Edwin was putting the Mimic program into every single one of his inventions as well.
Another smart toy from Murray. I am always
Watching and listening.
Our main goal in
Watching
Secret of
and
the Mimic
learning.
is to retrieve
Okay, I'm pausing a lot. I'm sorry, but Do you guys think the Mimic was planned from the beginning? Because some people say that it was a giant retcon because no one liked Afton. I think the Mimic was planned from the beginning. Because in Help Wanted, Glitch Trap, he says, "Hello, can you hear me?" I'll slow down. And the very first thing you hear the tape girl say is, "Hello, can you hear me?" It's mimicking her. And in interviews, I think the Doggo interview for Security Breach, Steelwool people, they said could describe the game with one word or something they are excited about. They said schematics. And what do you retrieve in Secret of the Mimic? The Mimic schematics. And Sister Location happened almost 5 years ago now. That was freaking planned, bro. There's no other way. There's coping if you think it was a retcon and you just don't like it. I don't like the Mimic, but I'm not coping. I'm using logical evidence, logical brain power, not headcanon cope. Video time.
The Mimic blueprints for Fazbear Entertainment. And towards the end of the game, we actually managed to reach Edwin's office and gain access to the blueprints. But right before we download them onto our data diver, we can see that Edwin called the blueprints the Mimic blueprints, with the obvious reveal being that Mimic is actually an acronym. In true Fnaf fashion, Secret of the Mimic gave us the answer to the Mixes acronym from Ruin, Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage, but in return gave us a new mystery in the Mimic acronym. This is one of those things that feels nearly impossible to figure out, especially because no one would have ever guessed what Mixes ended up standing for. The fact that Mimic is an acronym is interesting because throughout the entire game, Edwin always called the Mimic endoskeleton M1.
I want to introduce you to someone. This is M1.
We never once hear Edwin call it the Mimic endoskeleton.
Yeah,
Since
it's just
these
M1.
blueprints aren't
M1,
called
M2.
the M1 blueprints, what if they're not blueprints for the physical Mimic, but for the Mimic chip? This would mean the C on the end of the acronym could stand for chip. I could also see it starting with something like Murray's and ending with integrated circuit. Since
integrated chip, Murray's, MIMIC, Murray's integrated Mimic incorporated chip. I don't know.
integrated circuits are chips typically designed to store and run programs. So if these blueprints really are for the Mimic chip, how would Afton get his hands on them? Well, for that to happen, the escape ending of the game would have to be the canon one. In this ending, we willingly give the Mimic blueprints to M1 and go home. Afton would then gain access to M1 and the blueprints once he takes over Edwin's bunker. This ending feels like the canon one for a few reasons. First, it is absolutely in character for Arnold to want to finish the job and get out of there as soon as possible. Second, in the parachute ending, everything including Edwin's house and the bunker get destroyed. If this happens, it would be a lot harder for Afton to move in and build Sister Location.
He can just clear it out because it looks nothing like Sister Location. He'd have the area to make it, but why would he just remake, like, tear it all down again, then redo it if it's already been torn down once? Or, I don't know.
There's also the fact that Afton uses the same toys as Edwin for his kids, and if the whole place burned to the ground, those toys would be destroyed and unable to be reused. There's also the third ending where we defeat the
That's
Mimic,
definitely
but
not canon.
That's unlikely to be canon since we know this isn't the end for the Mimic. Little did Arnold know that giving the blueprints to M1 and driving away inadvertently might have given Afton access to the Mimic program, a giant underground bunker, and a familiar AI voice to greet workers who decide to visit.
Welcome to the first
So he's
day of your
saying the
exciting
first
new
ending
career.
is canon?
One thing that I want to make
way.
clear is that I do not think Scott had the Mimic in mind when making Sister
Yeah,
Location.
no.
If this chip
Help
in
Wanted,
Baby's
yeah,
arm
but not
really
Sister
does
Location.
contain the Mimic virus, that would mean that Scott and Steelwool went back and made that chip more important than it originally
Yeah, he
was.
just
This is how
Scott set that up. He said something about in the interview with Daka, the second one. He was like, "There's strings, there's threads. I know there's stuff at the end, but the middle part formed itself on the way." That's probably just a loose end right there that he came back to and just tied it together. There's no way it was planned, but Help Wanted it definitely was, but not in sister location.
Fnaf always has worked. Scott builds on things that he puts in his previous games.
Exactly.
As always, for any theory, I could be completely wrong about all of this, especially the idea that the Mimic blueprints are for the Mimic chip and not the endoskeleton. I do think, though, that the personality chip is something we've completely overlooked, and I'm excited to see if that goes anywhere. Either way, subscribe if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.
Thank you, John Fuhnaff. Thank you, Jonathan Fnaf, Five Nights at Freddy's, man. I mean, it makes sense. I never thought about that before. Yeah, he never calls the Mimic. He calls it M1. The Mimic chip, the Mimic acronym, I never realized that before. Yeah, it probably is the chip. It looks identical from the Help Wanted 2 and the sister location one. That's gotta be the same thing. And if that's so, the Mimic program is in the Fun Times. So when did he build the Fun Times? Did he build it before 1983? After 1983? That's it. When did he build it? I don't know. That was a good theory. I liked it. I don't know if I 100% agree with it, but it was good. I think he's on to something. If you guys enjoyed this reaction, let me know in the comments. Hit that thumbs up. Tell me, how was your Christmas? How'd you spend New Year's? What'd you get for Christmas? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.